Hey everybody, and welcome to a new installment of Split Second. My name is
John C.
No. My name is Okay. That's it. Not doing this anymore. Like I've been trying to say. My name is Julio, and this is going back where it came from. Stick around to find out what's up. Before proceeding, please remember to do all the YouTube things. The likes, the comments, the subs, all of it. Thank you. Why do I say that this is going back where it came from? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about this watch first and foremost. What we have here is the Tissot T10642760510. Oh my god, guys. That's such a great model name. You know, it really just, it rolls right off the tongue. It's just, oh my god, it's just instantly one of the classics, you know. You got the Submariner, you got the Seamaster, and among those you got the T1064271605100. Anyway, that's not really even my main gripe with this watch. Like the thumbnail alludes to, I got this watch after seeing the Just a Watch video where it's featured. This is a bit of a cautionary tale. But before we get into all that, let's just go ahead and talk about the watch itself, because the watch itself is not actually a bad watch. Because we're going to be handling it, let's get our gloves on. Yeah, the reason for the gloves is because I do not want to get fingerprints all over this, and I find them to be a little bit distracting, but that's neither here nor there. It's a 45 millimeter with a thickness of 15 millimeters on the button. It has a lug to lug of 53, and it takes 22 millimeter straps. So this watch actually features a pretty solid construction. 316L stainless steel case, which features vertical brushing on the sides. Also features vertical brushing on the top of the lugs. And a nice high polished chamfer going on. Pretty standard combination of finishes, I gotta say. High polish on the crown as well. You got a see-through case back. Pressed, by the way, not screw down or screw on, so it's a pressed case back. Watch offers 100 meters of water resistance, which is pretty neat considering, you know, that it's not a screw down case back. The crown is also a push-pull, so it's got to have pretty good seals in order to tout that that kind of water resistance. The watch does have a sapphire crystal. It also features a tachymeter bezel. This is steel, it's not ceramic or anything like that. So it's a steel tachymeter bezel. The strap it's leather. It's got kind of a racing style leather strap, which is fitted and has a deployment clasp, which is signed here, which is signed with a Tissot T, which is also features, as you may have seen, on the crown. The dial has kind of a texture to it, the main dial. The sub dials are smooth. Now this, I think, is the optimal layout for a chrono with a date, in my opinion. I hate it when you have a 3-register chrono and they kind of shoehorn a date wheel at 4:30 or 4. So this to me is optimal layout for a chronograph. You have the 3 registers at 12, 9, and 6, right? In this case, what you have is the running seconds hand at 9. You have the minutes at 12, and this goes in 30-minute increments. So what it'll do is it'll run twice for an hour, and then you have the hours down at 6. So this will run twice, and once it runs twice, this will be at 1, and so on and so forth, right? It's pretty straightforward. It's very functional. Let's be real. Most people are not using a chronograph in their daily lives. So those that have like the fraction of a second, most people don't need that. So as far as chronographs go, Hours, minutes, and seconds are what most people need, and this delivers on that. It also has a date at 3, which is color matched, by the way, with the Tissot branding right next to it. Everything under the dial is high polish, so the hands are high polish, the indices are high polish, and the rings that kind of separate the hour and minute registers from the rest of the watch, those are also high polished. And at 6, you have 2 little words that make all the difference in the world to some people. Swissmade. That's actually one of the key reasons why I was interested in getting this watch, which brings me to the movement. The movement is C01211, which is based on a Lemania 5100, and those can be found in some Omegas. What happened is that you have Tissot, which is part of the Swatch Group. They went to Edda, which is also part of the Swatch Group, and said, we want a cheap automatic chronograph that we can put in our entry-level watches. So they came up with this. Right, like I said, this is based on a Lemania 5100. Now, one of the ways they kept costs down, well, first of all, this movement is not a looker. It's got very minimal decoration. The rotor isn't even, decorated the way that Tissot I've seen them do in the past with like their Powermatic 80s. One of the things that you can see here that makes the movement so cheap is the use of plastic parts. That's a plastic pallet fork and escape wheel. Now, there are people that have reported years of use out of the movement with no issues. There are people that have reported issues with the movement. That's kind of what I'm gonna get into with this. When I saw the Just a Watch video, right, my eyes lit up. Tissot is a brand name that has heritage. It has history. It's a name that I would bet most people would trust, right? So when Dave from Just a Watch featured it on his channel, by the way, another factor that goes into this is, we tend to trust these YouTube reviewers, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Except me, you should not trust me. I have no idea what I'm talking about most of the time, right? But we tend to trust these reviewers almost blindly, right? And then when you stack onto that the fact that, again, we have a brand name here that we tend to trust almost as blindly, well, what ended up happening was I pulled the trigger on this watch without doing any research whatsoever. And the main reason for that was I kept saying Swiss Automatic Chronograph for under $400. And I think I wasn't the only one, because this watch sold out in a matter of a couple days. You cannot get it from Jomashop anymore. So, what do I like about this watch? Well, I like the combination of finishes on the dial. It's got a lot of dimension while being monochromatic. It's kind of weird. I like the fact that it has a tack bezel. Those are always fun, even though they're practically useless. I like the idea of the movement, Swiss Automatic Chronograph, right? The buttons are very tactile, as they ought to be, right? So you got your start, stop, and reset. I like the color match date wheel. And just, it's also very comfortable most of the time, and we'll get to that in a little bit too. But yeah, all around, it's a fun watch to have. Now, what do I wish were different? A couple things. I wish there were more lume on it. This basically only has lume on these little strips here on the minutes and hour hand. And that's it. That's all you get. And be thankful for that, or we'll take that away too. Well, what I mainly dislike about this watch is the strap. The strap is okay. It's not bad leather, right? But it's one of these where it's fixed, and I understand that this is just a matter of personal taste. So it doesn't really swivel. And the problem with that is you can't lie this thing flat. You can't get it into a watch roll without seriously bending this, right? So just, I don't know, I find them to be more trouble than they're worth, more inconvenient than anything else. The lug-to-lug is effectively made bigger Okay, so my digital calipers went nuts. Let's just take a look at the analog part of it. The look to look is effectively made bigger. Almost 60. Pay no mind to the wacky screen here. It's made bigger, practically 60 millimeters, because of this strap being fixed here. And that's not a huge problem, because since this does take 22 millimeter straps, you can change out straps on it all day long. This is a part of the video where I usually say it's 22 millimeters, so you can change straps on it all day long, and you got the thing that goes across the screen like that with all the my wrist is naked right now. I was wearing this guy actually. But yeah, this is usually a part where I show you all the different straps to show you how the watch looks on them. But like I said, this is going back to Jomashop. The other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is this deployment clasp, and that's mostly because I'm not a huge fan of deployment clasps in general. These buttons, they dig into my wrist a lot, so I end up wearing the watch a lot looser than I normally would in order to avoid that happening. There it is on wrist. Yeah, it has 0 anti-reflective coating, by the way. Yeah, you know, I like the idea of deployment clasp. The execution, I haven't found one that I like. But there it is on wrist. It wears rather nicely, actually. I have a 7.5-inch wrist for your reference. This is pretty much at the threshold of what I think I can pull off. And I'm going to get to QC issues now. So the more eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that it is not resetting to 12 o'clock. That's why it's going back to Jomashop. For those of you that aren't really familiar with Jomashop, and I doubt that there are any of you out there, but if there are, for those of you that aren't really familiar with Jomashop, they're a gray market dealer. Now, what the gray market is, if you don't know, it is something that merits pretty much its own video. It's at least a 5-minute explanation that we're not going to get into in this video. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it simple. I'm going to use the just one more watch explanation. Let me get into character. Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. My name is Jody. Okay, I'm there. Method acting. A gray market dealer is I have a horrible, dude. It's bad. It's so bad. A gray market dealer. Screw that. Okay, a gray market dealer, basically, according to Just One More Watch, and yeah, we'll go with that. But again, there's more to it than that. A gray market dealer, basically, in the case of Jomashop specifically, they are not an authorized reseller of watches. What they do is they sell you the watch, but if I wanted to send this to Tissot, I would not be able to, because it was not purchased from an authorized seller. So what Jomashop does is they honor the warranty of the manufacturer, but they honor it themselves instead of the manufacturer. So that's why this has to go back to Jomashop. I'm going to be putting that to the test, and I'll probably report back with my findings. So far, they've been very good. I reached out to their customer service, I explained what happened, and then they explained to me that they were just going to go ahead and have me send it in under warranty, right? And they sent me a form to fill out so that I can include that with my watch. Now, the way I see it, there's a couple things that are going to end up happening here. Number one, they might just send me a new watch while they fix this one, which is a standard customer service practice. You know, a lot of times when you send in something for repair, they'll just send you a new one of whatever it is you're sending in, and then they will work on repairing yours and sell it off as refurbished later, or a scratch and dent or whatever. That's option number one that I see happening here. I don't think that's entirely likely though, because as I said earlier, this watch is sold off. So unless they kept some stock for that purpose, I don't see that happening. Option number two that I see happening here is that they actually do service and repair the watch and send it back to me, in which case I'm looking at maybe a turnaround of about 4 to 6 weeks, I'm thinking. I'm just guesstimating. Option number three, which I really don't hope happens because I do want to keep this watch in the long run. Option number three that I see happening is that they just refund me my money. So I'm going to report back to you guys as in terms of my experience as to whether or not Jomashop actually does honor the warranty the same way that you would get if you bought it from the manufacturer. I know the thumbnail of this video might make it seem like I have some kind of beef with Dave over there at Tissot Watch. My problem isn't with Dave. He looks like a very nice guy. My problem and my issue is with myself, because as usual, I'm to blame for everything. What I'm trying to say with this video to all of you out there, our job as reviewers is to show you the watch to help you make your buying decision, right? But you shouldn't base your decision solely on any one source. Don't trust me. Don't trust any single reviewer. Watch several reviews. Read up on it. I mean, once I experienced this issue, I did a Google search, and just a few other people have already had that issue. If I had taken just a few seconds to just do a quick search on this, I would have found that other people have had this exact same issue, and either A, it wouldn't have taken me by surprise when it happened, or B, I wouldn't have bought the watch at all. Anyway, that's on me. Don't make the same mistake that I made. If you like a watch, read up on it, no matter how much you want it. Read up on it first. Make sure, look for any issues it may have had, any problems it may have had, so that you're armed with information, so that you know what you're getting into, so that you know what possible problems you might encounter. So anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox, which is basically a soapbox about how dumb I was. But what do you think about the watch itself, about blindly trusting any one source, about pulling the trigger without doing your research, about me being a dumbass, you know, just whatever. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Stay safe, mask up, and for God's sakes, be kind to each other, because life can change in a split second. Whoa! You made it all the way to the end of the video? Really? That's amazing. Even I don't make it all the way to the end of the video. Well, if you like what you saw, click here for another video and click here to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're notified whenever I publish a new video. Thanks for watching.